Okay, hello everyone. It is Charles Ross. I am discussing today in more detail my theories on Mary Magdalene and Jesus, Yeshua, and their daughter. Um, this is ancient hidden history of a very important lineage that has been removed from our mainstream history. Removing such a thing from mainstream history is, well, it is evil, and um, we need to adjust and rewrite the history of the entire world. We were left with a narrative after the previous reset in 1914. We were left with a narrative that is missing everything truthful. We are always being given an incorrect narrative. Almost every time we recover from a great flood, a great reset, a great firestorm, or not these small earthquakes. These small earthquakes that we feel are man-made. I'm talking about on a larger scale. The great earthquakes of when the ground swallows up entire cities and they end up 8 meters beneath us. The great resets of the past usually culminated in flooding, or at least we are always kind of reminded of the floods. And any structure that was constructed before the floods can be easily identified just by looking at the windows of the building. I've gone into this before. If you look at the buildings in any old city, any old town or city, if you look at the buildings, you will see that the front door has to have steps built up to it. The front door has to have steps built up to it, or it has to be excavated and then steps have to go down to the front door. Because obviously the chances of any flood, mud, or any kind of residue from a lake settling perfectly on the same vantage point as the front door of a house is impossible, because the front door would be 8, 9, sometimes 10 meters underground. So excavation has to happen in order to get to the front door of the house, or a new door has to be broken into, or a new hole for access into the building has to be smashed into a side wall. So after these great floods, when we do see these windows half underground, we can kind of tell that we are living in a post-reset world, and that the architecture of the realm before the flood is not that different to the architecture of the post-world flood. So pre-world and post-world, pre-reset and post-reset are pretty much almost the same. This is actually fascinating, because it means that there have been so many resets of certain parts of the world. I'm not talking about the entire realm flooded, because I think that's only happened once. No, I haven't looked into the age of Jesus's disciples, but we have to get the timeline right first. And I think we have to understand what happened at the beginning and what happened at the end. Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can hear me actually. Let's do that first. My mic is a bit too low, okay. Is that better? Can you hear me? I'll try to speak a little bit louder. Hello. Hello, Tommy. So the mic, we sometimes have mic issues. I will try to see if I can adjust that. Okay. Yeah, so we have had some hello everyone who's joined. We have had a lot of resets and a lot of flooding, and I think that our history needs to be rewritten, because the history that we've been given was obviously given to us by demonic entities in order to put us as far away from the truth as is possible. Okay, good. So I've suddenly realized that these demonic entities are not very creative, and they make a lot of mistakes. And what they've started doing is, when they've written our history, they've actually turned it upside down, back to front. So we started off with a narrative that black people came from Africa, but they actually came from America and from Europe. Europe was the first big colony for the Moorish teacher, and the Moorish people are actually the most intelligent, and the white man was actually the Slav. And I don't know why they made it that easy, because okay, it's not that easy. It's taken me a lifetime, right? But and it's taken all of us many years. But they are not very creative, these demonic low frequency entities in our realm, and there's an algorithm for them to exist, so they will never be destroyed. There is no such thing as removing demons or removing evil. That can only be done by the Creator. Yes, they cannot create. They have no creation abilities. The creation is given to us by God, and it is only within a certain period of time, within the female frequency. And there are all kinds of distractions, but I think after a certain age, or when we've reached a certain period of time, it is very important for us all to be on the same wavelength, whether you are man or woman. You have to start finding out who you are, finding out the truth about this realm, connecting to God, trying to perfect yourself, or recalibrate your own soul. So I mean, with men and women, it seems to be like men, there's a lot of adventure going on up until their 30s and 40s. There's a lot of like making mistakes and you know, experimenting with different things, trying to find a place for you to settle, trying to find the right place for your frequency to be appreciated, or to be complimented. And I think it's the same for everyone, no matter who you are, no matter what your background is. If you're a man or a woman, I think after a certain age, maybe in your 40s, you are then no longer supposed to be focusing on external things. You're supposed to perfect your own soul so that you get the most out of this 3D experience. And that also takes away all fear of death, fear of anything, fear of illness, fear of issues in the future, fear of politics, warfare, fear of economic problems, because you suddenly realize that your knowledge was already imprinted. You were given that at birth. God would not allow other lesser creatures, lesser souls, or even superior souls, or anyone to be able to create a hierarchy through education. that information that you were given at birth. I mean, you obviously learning to read and write and basic, how to manage money, which by the way you don't learn at school anyway. But a lot of these basic things, those are the products of just academic community sharing and community care. So what I personally believe is that when you look into this, you are constantly being told not to go certain directions, right? So you have this constructed hierarchy of world religion where you can't stray too far from the material that you're given, and it's like this in almost every religion, whether you're Protestant or Catholic. It basically determines how much of the Bible you're allowed to read. So if you're Protestant, you actually have less books in the Bible, and if you're Catholic, you actually have more books in the Bible. And then you have King James taking out books and changing the source material, and a lot of things is hidden. So how much of education, how much of the educational part of your life? I mean, you're building a community within a school where you're trying to educate people, but then if you are not teaching the right things and you're essentially brainwashing people, preparing them to be mundial workers or worker bees for the rest of their entire existence, you're not going to be happy with that. You're not going to get anything out of that. You're going to end up fighting against that kind of system, that Rockefeller educational system. And I don't think that we can get any answers from that. We have to become autodidactic and teach ourselves. So once you do learn to read and write, obviously that's important. But I think people were teaching themselves how to read and write in the past, because we're always told that nobody was able to really read the Bible, nobody was able to study for themselves, nobody was able to learn anything in the past. Certain people were not allowed to study or to read and write, and then obviously people were like being imprisoned simply because they had some desire to read a book that they shouldn't have read. So we've been given, we have so much freedom now that we have to do something with it, And I think people don't read enough, and they definitely don't study enough. So my topic for this week has been Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene and their daughter Tamar. And I spoke about this earlier, but having done a bit of research, I've kind of found more and more information, and then people are like sending me a lot of information. So Tartaria, if you don't know, used to be called Land or Kingdom of Jesus. It is called that on many maps in the Latin language. This is not, unfortunately, all going to be in English. So it was actually called Terra de Yeshua, Kingdom of Jesus. And I think that is why it was hidden. It was hidden for this one purpose, because it was the kingdom Tartaria or Tamaria. The combination of all people, the Aryans and the Tartars, or the dark-skinned ones. In China, it's called Dao Dao. Yes, it's school is indoctrination, and so Rothschild's Rockefeller construct. It is not supposed to teach you how to think for yourself. In fact, it is supposed to kill that in you forever. Because once you've been to school, you think you've learned something, and then you leave. And then human logic dictates that you never try to learn anything again. So I went to school, I learned things, then I did a degree and a master's or a PhD or some kind of diploma, and then I've finished now. My education is finished. This is who I am. And that is the most terrible of mistakes to make, because you're not even supposed to really be beginning all of this learning until you're an adult and you've started a family or found a partner, or decided who you are and where you are and what's going on. And we are told to travel and find ourselves. So there's a lot of powerful things there in the language that are hinting at a completely different approach to our academic life. You're not going to know much about life if you are going to school every day. And I mean, some people actually in many countries used to not go to school for very long at all, and then they would learn their father's trade, and that would provide for them. And then later on, there would be a recalibration and education. I mean, we also have stories of great inventors just being literally sons of farmers. I don't know how many of those are true stories. They could just be like fake narratives. But I think genius is, I think everybody is good at something. I think everybody has a genius woven into the fabric of their being at birth. And I think a life is all about accessing what you know, what you've been given, your gift. Because we always say it's a gift. If someone's, let's say someone's good, a good artist or a good mathematician, or is a great healer, or is very good at working with their hands, or has a great ability to communicate with people, or is very good at solving problems, maybe, or is good at looking after animals. And we say it's a gift. We don't say it's a wonderful acquired academic achievement. We don't say that. We don't say, where did you learn how to you have been well instructed in your We say it's a gift. And I think that there's a reason for that. I think the language has truth, because the language is the energy, right? The frequency. Yeah, so when you have the real eyes to realize the truth, you do begin to see that you are essentially overstanding most of these things, if it is what you are destined to do. Because we are all born in a certain time of the year. We are all born at that time of the year, and that's got a lot to do with what we're supposed to do or achieve. And it also has a lot to do with the minerals, because every month of the year has its own minerals. Every one of the 12 prophets, or even not just the 12 apostles and followers of Jesus, but the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac, the 12 followers of Confucius, the 12 months of the year. All of these are specific to, or have specific minerals associated with them. So whenever you were born, that's what you are. You have a lot of, or that is the mineral moon cycle that you are powered by. But then you are always going to be missing some, because a baby is in the womb for 9 months, not 12 months. So some babies maybe even less or more than that, maybe some 10 months. But you are going to be missing a few minerals and vital minerals that you then need to kind of know, based on the month you were born in, what the following 2 months are, what minerals those are linked to, and then what you are going to be lacking. And that is just knowledge. That is just esoteric knowledge. And and it's kind of woven throughout almost every culture. Every ancient culture has this, whether it's Roman, Medo-Persian, Phoenician, Etruscan, Egyptian, Babylonian. They all have this, this knowledge. But this is not knowledge you're going to find at school. So the most important things you're never going to find at school. The most important things you're going to have to find out for yourself. You're going to have to teach yourself and do your own research. What I found very interesting is that Tamar was a daughter of Jesus and Mary, and that she also has a lot of places named after her in the south of France. So this is something that I just discovered today. So if we look at the old maps, I'm talking about before the 1600s, there is a route from Tartaria to France, but you have to go by boat. Now, as with all of these things, there are already people that have looked into this. I'm not the first human being on Earth to look into Tamari, the original name for America, the and Grand Tartary. America is said to be America Siva Dia Nova, the new world, but it's actually the old world. It's the original world. So from America to come back down to the south, obviously before the 1600s, everything was upside down. North was south, south is north. And if we go back from Chilaga, the great land of the Griffin armies, we go back from Chilaga to a place called Nouveau Francia. So when I say Tamari, the daughter of Jesus, returned to Nova Francia, or the original France, I'm not necessarily saying that they crossed the Tropic of Cancer to get. Sorry, they traveled along the Tropic of Cancer, survived, even though the Romans would have never let them have rudders on the boat because the Romans wanted to kill the Christians, right? This is before Constantine realized that Jesus's kingdom was so powerful, and his sons, two sons, David and Joseph. Joseph was his father's name, so he used his father's name for the younger son. And he was then sent over. They were sent over to France. They arrived in France. Tamari arrived in France, and the place where she landed in the French, the southern Riviera, was named after her straight away. That whole town, when they realized who had arrived. So Barbaria would now today be technically south, and Tartaria would be north, and Europa in the middle. That obviously I'm talking about Grand Tartary. I'm not talking about Tamar. Tamari also became part of Tartary because this lineage of the Merovingian, that's the French name. Oh, great. Okay. Yes, yeah. Mic problems are an unavoidable side effect of this medium. Unavoidable. It's the second time somebody said something. So yeah. So I mean, what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for a link between Tartaria, Barbaria, Agilifa or Agilimba, the land of the wild men. Okay, cool. Thank you, Rachel and Alexander. Yeah, I will talk about that about the islands that have been removed from our maps. There's a lot of islands, about maybe 20 odd islands that could make it possible to get from Africa to the Grand Canyon. So that is a real theory. That's a real theory on the old maps. Yeah, then we have the Nouveau Francia. So are we talking about New France? Or are we talking about European, southern European France? Well, the French Empire and the Spanish Empire in Europe both housed some important historical figures. In Queen Scotia escaping from from America, when Egypt fell. Now, so we have a mirror. You see, we have America and we have Europe. Europe is a mirror of America. A lot of cities in Europe were colonies of the cities in the United States. The United States is the original landmass. So we have the United States. Now, all of the United States was called Tamari, the name of Jesus's daughter, Jesus Christ, or Yeshua, because the J didn't exist, and Mary Magdalene. She moved in a boat, a rudderless boat. They rescued the child, put her into a boat. The Romans thought that they would die. But even when I say Romans, I'm just saying Romans so that you understand that America was ruled by what we think are Romans today. But even the Romans that we believe come from Italy, from Rome, did not actually come from there. They came from America. And they weren't technically Romans. I think if you met one, you would think that this is an African, like Moorish empire. Okay, so either it all fits together or none of it works. So that's how I can say this. Now, there are so many names of cities that you just won't understand. They're not cities that anyone knows of today. But if you look for like the Sea of Galilee, you're going to find that in America. If you look for Nazareth, there was a town near the Sea of Galilee, which is called something like Nagarazeth or something. So you're going to find the original cities. Those have not been removed, because if there is another reset, we still have to know where these places are. So when you look at Europa or Europa and Tartaria, you can find the maps of Europe and Tartaria. You can find the maps. It's not hard anymore. These maps are all over the place. Everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. These maps obviously weren't available before the Tartarian research era happened. But America is not the old world, it's the new world. Which means New France is not New France, it's old France. The true old world, Tamari. Tamari is the name of Jesus' daughter. Jesus and Mary Magdalene's daughter. That's why this is definitely the way to go. This is definitely what we have to be focusing on. If we look at maps, we can get a lot of information from maps. But I think at some stage we also have to try to look at other religions, however obscure they might be. We have to try to find out if there really are any other religions that already follow this narrative. And it turns out that there are already quite a few different religions. There is the belief that Mary Magdalene's daughter was called Sarah Tamari, and that she originated from Europe, from France. So it looks like not just Tamari, Jesus' daughter, but also his partner, Mary Magdalene, also escaped to France, to the south of France. And Mary Magdalene fled Judea by boat following the crucifixion and landed in the south of France with her child. So again, because we have two Frances. We have two Paris, Prince of Troyes. There are two of these. So we have the new and the old France. Now, in my experience, when they say New York, it's actually old Yort. If you put the word back to front, it's actually Yort, which is Troy, because the Y is the T, interchangeable, before the 1600s. I'm beginning to realize that the original France was not in Europe, it was in America. The original Troy was not in Europe, not in Greece, it was in America. And but then again, the cities' names in France are absolutely mind-blowing. Like when I found out that there is a city called, in the south of France, this can't be anywhere, this has to be in the south, Saint Maria Stella Mer. So, Mary and Joseph were buried and then nowhere, a little town. In France. Yes, but then also people say India, and then I'm like, oh, now I have to research India too. And but I'm just gonna go with the European angle, and then I'll do more digging into India. I always end up digging in India with a lot of these things. It's kind of interesting. So Tamar translates palm tree. So this is a Hebrew name. Now, when you find out that the French cities have Hebrew names, and then you find out Irish cities have Hebrew names and Scottish cities have Hebrew names, you realize that this is factual. Like these people are speaking Hebrew, and they are supposed to be in the Celts in like in Ireland, and they got Hebrew names, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on, and then you realize that you have to forget everything, because the biggest stumbling block is things that you've been told. You've been told to feel embarrassed, or it's like you should be ashamed of yourself, suggesting that Jesus even had children, and I don't see why not. There's so much missing. There's we have 66 books in the Bible, but there's proof of over 80 books in the Bible. So yeah, they are hiding this from us because they don't want us to find out our connection with the Merovingian lineage of Tartaria. Merovingian lineage of Tartaria. Yeah, which is also a French word which is the name of Jesus' lineage. So yeah, the child's identity. So modern esoteric theories refer to this. Oh, you lived in India. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, no, it's fascinating. The temple's architecture in India, definitely one of the oldest civilizations, if not the first civilization, because a lot of Egyptian gods are suspiciously close to the Indian gods, and I think that that's a copy. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, thank you much. So yes, we have the identity of the child Tamar. So modern esoteric theories refer to the child as Sara Tamari. The name Tamar translates to, as I said before, palm tree or date, and it's symbolizing fruitfulness and royal stature. So this is the royalty of Europe. They have to connect themselves to a lineage that they don't even want us to know about. Now, when we found out about Tartaria, I think that really inspired a lot of fear into their hearts, and I think that's why maybe the Russian government knew something, and then I think it was Russia that was initially blamed for letting people know about it. Then you find out the CIA documents about Tartaria. Because if you give us the land, it's just a matter of time before we're going to find out that it is Jesus. Because there is always going to be a map that's going to tell us that this is Jesus' lineage through Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And there was another son. One of the sons was adopted from John the Baptist, had a son too. So there's a lot missing. There's a lot of books missing of the Bible, of course, thanks to King James. But I found out also that it's not actually only King James. There were a lot of other empires between the 16th and 1800 that took out a lot of books from the Bible. Yes, no, thanks for all the comments. There's some really good comments. There is the Marion obviously is a name that comes up in many even Shakespearean plays, and obviously Robin Hood. I mean, look at some of the old plays, Shakespearean plays. There's a lot of truth in there. So influence still carries on to this day. What if the Rothschilds and Rockefellers are the same lineage? Then they are potentially the Edomites, Shield of Edom, which is the Hebrew phonetics of red shield, right? Shield of Edom, the Edomites. If they're still trying to kind of make it impossible for us to find the truth forever, so that we never find out who we are. I mean, you have hundreds of different languages. So who constructed some of the languages? Like Paleo-Hebrew, obviously ancient language, Hebrew-Aramaic. But then you have a new Hebrew that came in the 1800s. And then you have English, which is the idea of taking energy, because you're saying negative words all the time. You're saying I'm dazed, and these are the days, and it's the end of the week. Or I'm mourning because it's the start of the day. Like good morning, weekend, days of the week. We are kind of these people have had so much time, and they have such powerful demonic entities at their disposal. So we have to try to understand it. So modern esoteric theories are pretty fascinating. Yes, America was India for sure, 100%, and India was Hindustan, and Europe was the Moorish colonies, and the Indian Hebrews. Yeah, that's a very good connection. It's all kind of upside down. We've all been moved away from where we started, so we aren't really in tune with our surroundings. So Jew law, we have the medieval church has a legend that states Saint Sarah, who was the Egyptian servant traveling with biblical martyrs. So again, a connection to Egypt, which is America. So alternative legends claim she was a local princess or daughter of Mary Magdalene. Yeah. So this is another law. This is from the Way of the Rose. Then we have the connection of Saint Sarah, which is the patron saint of the Romani people. So that goes back to the Moors. So the Moors knew who she was. That's how the Moors knew to attack Europe as soon as they could. And the Umayyad wanted to do that, and they achieved that goal in 711 AD, invaded Spain. And they kept moving up. They wanted to get to France. They wanted to rule France, the home of Tamar. And every year on May the 24th, thousands gather in Santis Marias de la Mer to carry a dark-skinned statue, a Moorish statue of the Native American Moorish Tamari. So the Native American is the Merovingian, or the Merovingian. So the Merovingian, the Native American, is the dark-skinned Sarah to the sea, or Sarah of the sea, Queen of the Sea. And this is mirroring the mythical maritime arrival of Tamari, the daughter of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, that arrived in France. Arrived in France in the, when was it? 33 AD. Yeah, many things have been hidden. So much has been hidden, but we have to get to the bottom of it. And if something works and sticks, then we have to keep adding to it. This is the next step of the Tartaria research. It is Jesus and Mary Magdalene and their daughter, Tamari, the name of America. Royal marriage. The myth states that Sarah Tamar married a local European nobility. So this is the key here. The key is finding the connection now between the French nobility, the French Moorish black nobility, the revolutions that tried to remove the Merovingian line forever from Europe. And where did she go next? And that's the question. Or where did her children go next? So we talk. I mean, we have Gnostic people. There are Gnostic faiths that believe in these children and follow them, their lineage, and but even just this connection, I think, is more than enough for today. The connection between Tamari and the original name of the Black Hebrew Empire before the 1498 invasion by the European powers. Tamari was the empire. So was Tamari, because you can go all directions now that you know this. You can say, was Tamari Chilaga? Was, what is the connect? I mean, was Chilaga or was the great Griffin Queen, if you like, was she on the line through the line of Jesus? And if there is a line of Jesus, who is living within that line? Who of us? Is it Native Americans? Are Native Americans being persecuted for that one reason, because they are in the line of Mary Magdalene, the Merovingian? And why did the French, maybe the French had that connection with Troy, because the French nobility came from Troy. Even the British nobility came from Troy. Troy is obviously York backwards, so this is what we call New York today. was the original location for the Trojan horse. Homer's Iliad was New York, and these were the people of the Merovingian line. And why did their empire fall? Or did it fall? Or are they secretly ruling from the shadows? You know, did the Moors rule? Are the Moors ruling us today? Are they just ruling from the shadows? And yeah, we also have references of this in the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail. We also have this in Dan Brown Da Vinci Code. They're hiding within the fiction the truth of our realm, the most dangerous truth. If you find out that you are a Native American Moorish man or woman, and you are in the line of Jesus, you are related to Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and you are a Moorish man in France, and you were not a slave that came over on a boat, and you are the rightful heir to the throne of Paris, the Prince of Troy. Then, if you know that, then your bloodline is far superior. Yeah, most women. Yeah, there's so many women called Mary. There's even Maryland, right? Yeah, I used to have a friend from Maryland. So yeah, it's weird. It's like, why are we using this name? Because the name is a sound. It's a frequency. Yes, you have Mary, Marie, Marcel, Mark. Yeah. It's a powerful thing to wake up to this. And because it is very hard when you've been told a certain history about Judea, Israel, Nazareth, Middle East, and even though the Sea of Galilee is too small for any of the storms that happened in the Bible, it's too far from the Dead Sea for all these kind of all of the stuff that's been going on with the people walking from one city to another, and it's impossible because it's too far away. And then there's one scripture which says he walked from the sea, from the ocean to the Sea of Galilee, and then back to Acre, it's some city or Nazareth, and it's an impossible journey. Like, you literally look at the map of Israel and you can't get from the Sea of Galilee back to the Dead Sea. It's impossible. You can't walk that distance. But then you find a Sea of Galilee in America, and you find city like Nazareth, and then you realize, okay, so if it's here, it's a much larger ocean, and there's lots of fishing there, and it makes sense for all these fishing communities, for all these parables, fishermen, fishers of men, and throw the net to the other side, and then you see Sea of Galilee in Israel, and there isn't the same infrastructure, the same plethora of like flora and fauna, and it's kind of, and then you think of the storm in the Sea of Galilee and the ships overturning, and that just doesn't make sense when you look at this lake. Oh yes, thank you very much, Mike Ray. Yes, no, I love talking about this because the more I talk about it, the more ideas I get. It's weird. It's a thing I've suddenly realized recently. Yeah, so I mean, we have historians that dismiss this 20th century myth that Jesus has had a daughter. Because if Jesus had a daughter, that means we're looking for a lineage. And they don't want you to find out if you're in this lineage. But I guarantee that the people that are on this lineage are probably the most persecuted ones throughout history. Yeah, the real Hebrews, the real Israelites are probably one of the most persecuted people in history, and they've been targeted because they are related to Jesus. They are his kingdom on earth. There's a kingdom on earth and a kingdom on heaven. And Tamari actually means in Hebrew palm leaf. So the leaves that were placed on the ground for Jesus to leave Jerusalem. When the Romans started to get really scared that this guy would create a kingdom, and now we know he did. Jesus had a kingdom on earth. There's like a missing decade out of his life. After his resurrection, he didn't just disappear. He stayed here, and because how can he truly understand human existence if he never has his own family? I've always thought that. How can Jesus understand the full scope of human reality if he doesn't at least get a little bit of an opportunity to have his own children. Hello, yes, hello Kelly, yes, good that you're here. Yeah. I've been really going deep into this and thoroughly enjoying it. Tuesday's like a good day for me. It's like a day off when I have more time. Yeah, so Jesus and Mary had more than one child. Someone sent me a link. Jesus and Mary had more than one child. Obviously, Tamar is the one that I'm focusing on at the moment. They also had an eldest biological son of Jesus. Then they adopted John the Baptist's son. Mary Magdalene did after he got beheaded, which is a very interesting story as well. And then thank you, Mikey, for sending me another link to a great thing. I think I'm going to be doing this for the rest of the year. So John Joseph, child of John the Baptist, was adopted by Jesus and Mary Magdalene after he was beheaded. And then we have a terrible, sad story. They all became part of the royal bloodline of France, and I think that's why there's this hatred towards France by a lot of other European nations. There was just like a negativity. Even when I grew up in the UK, like there was a negativity towards the French people, and I could never understand like why do we hate French? Because they eat frogs? Like what's going on? But I think this Merovingian bloodline is the key to understanding Tartaria properly, to understand why it was removed. Because Tartaria is the Tamari of the Promised Land. We have references to Genghis Khan being buried with crucifixes. We have this crucifix symbol throughout Egyptian culture, the Ark. So it is a very scattered kind of symbolism connection that could also help. Now there is a second son that was called Yeshua, and he was called Yeshua David, apparently. So Yeshua is actually also the name of Jesus. So being given Jesus' name is very traditional. The oldest son, John or Joseph, which is obviously Jesus giving his father's name to his firstborn son. I'm gonna now I know what I'm looking for. It's probably gonna all make more sense. But yeah, you will never, if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not gonna find nothing. I've gone for years not ever thinking about this or looking into it. But yeah, we do know that the main names for America before 1498 and the invasion of the European Crusade, or the Columbus expansion, the Portuguese and Spanish Moors at the time expansion, the escaping Moors going back to their homeland and realizing that it's changed. So Tamare, Amuraka, I have a new name for the land of blacks, which was the southern area, like Mexico, Shibulan, and Kushata, black soil people, was North America too. So Tamare was the northernmost part of the United States, and then Amaruka was the land of the feathered serpent. That's where we get a lot of those pyramids. In fact, there are like hundreds of pyramids in the United States. A lot of the mounds, the mounds are literally just pyramids that they don't want to excavate because they don't want America to be known as land of pyramids, because then you will know the truth. And when you know the truth, you will ascend. And then you will start looking for Tamari and Jesus's bloodline. And if you find out who those people are, when you find out that you are Jesus's bloodline, or if you find out anyone in your family is, or if you find out the black Israelites that were called Africans were actually native bloodline, then you will realize why they're being persecuted. by the Shield of Eden, the people that are communicating and getting all their power from demonic entities. Now, just because you get demonic power doesn't necessarily mean your whole life is over or you're always going to be evil. Like, it's interesting that King Solomon used lesser keys to control demons to build cities for himself, cities that are still here today. I do find studying King Solomon a fascinating thing because it connects to so many other different empires. Yes, some Moors were black. The population as a whole was a diverse mix of North African, Middle Eastern, Southern European ethnicities. Calling them black captures one part of their identity, but does not tell the whole story of the millions of people who lived in Al-Andalus, Mauritania, America, Tartaria, even Africa, and Arabian Moors. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, this is true. When I say Moor, I'm talking about the native American and African people and the people who conquered Europe in 711 AD. The Moor does not necessarily mean black, but they were black. So Moor is actually teacher in Hebrew. They are Hebrews. They are teachers. They are our teachers. They are the ones who came to educate us. If you lived in, depends which part of Europe you lived in, but if you lived in Spain, you're going to have darker skin and darker hair. If you lived in Sicily, you're going to have darker skin and darker hair. That's because the Moors ruled your empire for 7 centuries. Now, I don't even know what that looks like, but after 7 centuries, you are going to be a certain percentage Moorish. So we have 781 years of rule of Portugal. That's why Portuguese people are going to have darker skin. It's just genetics. You're not going to turn back time and change things. From 711 to 1492, or I think 1498, Queen Isabella Visigoth, the French actually, because the French were the ones that were able to start to remove the Moors. But don't worry about it, the Moors also had ships. They had the Alamarda, which is not white Spanish people, it's black Moorish Spanish people. Because the Spanish never really got rid of the Moors. There's still Moorish temples, Moorish architecture, Moorish culture. I mean, even the Tangier that the Spanish used to cook, that's a city in Morocco, Africa today. So they had a lot of empires. You can't say all the Moors are from Morocco. That would be insane to say. That would never ever help you. So yes, the origin of the Moors of Morocco makes sense. But there was another Morocco in America, as we all know. Morocco is actually the name of America. Morocco is one of the original names. Remember, Tamari, Amaroka, Kushata, Shubalan. Okay, feathered serpent. So these are all the Tartarians that we're talking about, or the Tamarians. Yeah, Tamari is Jesus's daughter's name, Sarah Tamari. That's not going to change. Once it's in our consciousness, it is going to change the world. Somebody told me this, and it's weird. It's weird. It's like you get given a gift. It's a gift. So, yeah, I mean, you have to look into yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to connect it to yourself. You have to connect it to Europe a little bit. You have to, and the connection is France, the south of France. So yeah, so this is such a big step forward. It's really, it could be the next thing that a lot of people start talking about. I feel like when I look into something, it's got a ripple effect, and I get affected by people's research, and that's cool. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and I will try and do one of these every week. Chanson was out. God be with you.